What's up, baby?
Not too much, boo. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I am also wonderful. It's been a wonderful week.
Good. Well, why has it been a wonderful week? Explain yourself.
Yeah, no, we've had a lot of really cool wins happening this week. It feels like we've gone into detail over the last couple months in terms of some of the things that have been causing stress in my life in particular and in both of our lives. Building this business, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things up in the air, and like it wasn't like things weren't moving and trending in the right direction, but I guess I kind of for a while there was feeling like I'm doing a whole lot of work, but there's like, and I've said countless times, like the payoff just hasn't really happened yet. Not that I'm not feeling like there's some sense of traction, but there could be more. We could have like some win that comes through that feels like, okay, we're on the right track here.
Yeah.
And like finally, I feel like this week we got a few of them.
Yeah, for sure.
One of them, without me saying too much, because I don't want to like go into too much detail about it, but we were talking last week about how we were in our head about something. It was business related.
Definitely in our heads.
Yeah.
We're both in our heads about the same thing.
For less than 24 hours, but
God.
we were certainly in our head, a little spirally, which again is uncommon for us.
Yeah.
But it was because it was something that like we were really like stoked about and we wanted to have happen. And while we know that like the business would still be fine and like we would still have a lot of opportunity without this win certainly felt like a real
sure.
like it's something to really like be stoked about and celebrate. And I'll just say, like, to put it as succinctly as possible, this is probably as far as I should go on the podcast, but I signed like what I would consider like a VIP celebrity client, somebody with a pretty massive platform, and his wife, and I'm going to be working with them. I'm going to be coaching them. I'm like a fan of this person, so it's really cool that I'm going to be working with them. And he's again like got a pretty significant platform that he's agreed to mention me on and shout me out on, like assuming that I'm getting him the results.
Exactly. I was going to say that, like, he agreed to do that and you were very like good about it. We're saying like, you only do it like if it feels right by you doing it. And like, if I am able to deliver the results that you're wanting. Like if you're truly happy with my services, then like you can do that for me because that's like would be huge.
Yeah, it would mean a lot to me is basically the way I put it. And I said like there's no obligation whatsoever, but if you do, then it would mean a lot. And like I think that he's a man of his word.
For sure.
And I think that it just having the opportunity is crazy. The fact that we've gotten to the point where I'm able to work with this person, that we even know them to begin with, is kind of wild.
Yeah, like going to like out with them and dinners with them, I'm still like,
I don't want to like say too much, but like, it's just crazy that we're friends with them in the first place. That we met them in the first place is like weird enough. Then that we're friends with them, and then that I'm now going to be this person's personal trainer, and like on this person's show, because they have a show, a weekly podcast. We'll just say it's a weekly podcast. Like there's an ongoing thing about how he's like working out and how he's like putting on muscle, and it just seems like very strange that like I'm getting involved with this guy at this storyline, with this storyline kind of like developing to some extent, and it's like again, like serendipitous isn't like a good word for it, because like that kind of makes it seem like almost like something smaller like happened and took place, but like this feels like really awesome and really big and very exciting.
It feels like
and I don't like to use the word exciting.
Yeah, it feels like everything just aligned
appropriately.
Like
bizarrely
them coming into our life when they did, everything from like what you just said, like what they talk about like on the podcast, how that's like playing into all of this. And like they saw you, they met you, and obviously like figured like that you told them what you do, and they were like, okay, like like duh, like no brainer, like we want you to be our trainer.
And like it's cool because like I know I'm going to be able to get them the results. They seem pretty excited about it themselves. We like, and they're nearby enough that like I'm going to be able to like really deliver for them. Assuming that they like stick with it and of course put in the work themselves, which I trust that they will. But like it's just that. So that was a great win, I will say. We had a few other like really cool like adventures this week and events that we went to this week, which just felt like really genuinely enjoyable, like being present. All felt like good things in the right direction.
Yeah, we went to that dinner, the house party.
Yeah. Yep.
Which was super cool.
My reading coach, the speed reading coaches, housewarming party, which was really like well done and well organized. Like probably like the best like well organized house party. Which like when you think of a house party, you don't think like what do you mean by like well organized? But like house parties can just be like kind of a free for all, which is I guess in some ways the point. But it makes for like people get into cliques. Maybe like you don't get to mingle as much. You don't get to like know like who the people are at the party. And he's done a fantastic job of arranging it in a way where there's like ways for people to like interact a little bit more. He asked us to speak at the house at the house party. Did I say housewarming party?
You did, yeah.
Whatever. House party.
House party.
And which was cool because we got to talk about ourselves as a couple and what we're going to be doing with the couples coaching business in front of like 70 people, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting that many people. And I had asked him, I was like, how long have you been doing this for? And he's like, this is like my 4th or 5th like month doing this. He's been trying to do them monthly. And again, it was so like well organized. I hate to say organized because it wasn't like we had to like walk, like do a certain.
It was organized without being like formal or like too structured. It was like still fun.
Yeah. And like he had like you had to like break off in groups and kind of do like little like mini icebreakers and just like meet people and mingle. And he had like a DJ going in the house. He had someone get up and like rap and someone played like the guitar. Like we met some like pretty great people from that. And like then we got up to speak and talk about our like our coaching company that we're going to start. And like people gave us great feedback from that. Like people were coming up and asking follow-up questions about it. So it was a very positive like Saturday night.
That was, and then like we went out a little bit more on Saturday night. We met some more people, and just it felt like a week full of like really great connections. A few good wins on the business side, like even down to like the people like reaching out to me about my services that like are circling back from like a while ago, which is just like I kind of like put those things out of my head like once I like stop talking with somebody, like I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. And then like the fact that I'm having so many people come back and be like, hey, actually like let's get this going, is pretty cool. And is there anything else? I know that I have a little update from today that I haven't told you about yet.
I know, I can't wait. Because normally we do like a little like catch up and like I said, save whatever updates you have for today for this. So I'm going to be surprised.
So
I'm trying to think if there's any other like, I don't think so.
We went to the Barton Springs full moon again, which is like one of my favorite things to do.
That was really
fun.
awesome
too. Which was
a good showing of people too. That was like a lot of fun people there. Lots of howling.
Man, I feel like there was something else, but I can't like put my finger on it.
I don't know.
A few things, but so today we've decided that we are going to. I'll like just tell the story. We're going to be Airbnb-ing the Holly House.
Yeah.
It's something I really don't want to do. It's something that I am not happy about.
But we have someone helping us.
But we do have somebody helping us with the management of it, at least like to get it set up. But what that means is like I have to get the house ready now, like even more so, and I have to get furniture, and we have to build that furniture, and I got to get like Wi-Fi and utilities back over there, and all the like hassle of like basically moving, but like I'm not going to be living there.
Yeah.
It's like somebody else is going to be staying there, and like I am responsible for like them being able to live there. So like different than like a long-term renter, for example. And I don't want to have to deal with any of that with everything else I have going on. So like I hired a manager to help with the management of it, at least again temporarily. And not my real personal assistant. I have Katelyn with 2 N's, not you, a different Katelyn, spelled the same way, only with 2 N's.
2 N's.
Who is my personal assistant, and I've said like I don't know what I would be. I don't know where I would be at this point without her over the last couple months. man, has that been literally the best money I've ever spent
know.
maybe in my life. Because it's like just turbocharging my ability to like build out these systems for this business and get everything in place. Whoa, that chick is like a godsend for me right now. But
Thank you, Katelyn.
Thank you, Katelyn. If you're watching, I don't know if you actually watch or not. Yeah, I know you watch our clips because I have to send my clips over to her. But you might recall I had another personal assistant way back in the early...
The project.
Yeah, my project, who I've like talked about at length on this podcast in the past. I haven't mentioned him recently because once I hired my other personal assistant, who's like a real personal assistant, or executive assistant, or whatever we want to call it. He was no longer necessary, but I could still use some help with a few things that he was already doing that are like really super low touch. Like, or I should say, super low like difficulty.
Yeah, like low hanging fruit kind of projects.
But take a lot of just like tedious time that I didn't want necessarily like my real assistant to be focused on, because like she can handle like much bigger, better projects. But this was like a rote weekly thing that like he can do, and he understands the system as well, and he can get done. So I was like, okay, listen, I'm not paying you anymore. But like you need like some serious fucking help. Oh my God. You need some serious fucking help with your life, my man. And I am like obviously a coach now. Let me offer you my services for you helping me with this thing on a weekly basis. Yeah. We'll do a call. I'll spend the first 10 minutes telling you what I need for that week, and then the next 50 minutes you have me for whatever you need. So like, and this is a guy, again, and I'm not going to air all of his dirty laundry, but he just doesn't have his life together. He's under federal indictment, like potentially like going to federal prison, has been bouncing around from job to job.
And I just also love that his phone is probably most likely tapped, and you're like on the calls with him weekly, and they're probably like, who is this person that keeps talking to him and trying to help him?
I know. And I've like...
They're probably like, damn, this guy, I need to get his number.
I have done everything that I can, and I've said in the past, like, I see myself as an artist. Like, if I was a true, like, pure entrepreneur, time is money, and I wouldn't be what many people would probably see as wasting my time with this guy, because, like, I'm not getting nearly as much back as I am. But, like, for me, it was a project. It was me honing my skills. And it's like I'm getting a little something back from him, but like I couldn't be more clear with him on an ongoing basis in terms of like what steps he should be taking to like figure his shit out. Really clear, and then like as time went on, like more clear to the point where I was like, okay, well, rather than you having to like manage like these 3 things weekly, like I'm just going to give you one thing to just do this week, and I need you to get that one thing done for yourself, not for me, for him. Like you just got to do this one thing this week. And then like I would come back to him the next week, and it was like he forgot that was the thing that I told him to do.
What do you think is the underlying thing there, though? Like, because he doesn't forget.
No.
Like, what do you think it is?
He's a self-sabotager. He doesn't want to be great. He says
that he wants to be great.
Yeah, but he's a liar.
Yeah.
Because he can't even be honest with himself. The reality is he's incapable of being accountable to himself. He's incapable and doesn't want to have to be responsible for himself. So he allows all these other situations to create burdens on him so that he can blame those outside situations that he's actually putting on himself. He keeps saying like, it's hard to, really make plans for the future when like all I can see is like myself in prison in the future. And it's like, so you're going to end up being in prison as a result of that being the only like outcome that you see for yourself.
So like what kind of things then are you like doing with him to help like change and like rewire his brain?
So at first it was like my standard things, which is like get a calendar together.
Yeah.
Like plan your day out. You can't plan your life unless you plan your day. So let's plan your day. What do you have to do in a day? And walk through that with him. And like he was kind of doing that, but like not really like using it meaningfully. Like he didn't like He just like had the calendar and then like didn't do anything about
Yeah,
it.
he didn't put anything on it.
You know, he put stuff on it, but like
Yeah.
it's not about what's on the calendar. It's about doing what's on the
Yeah.
calendar. So, like that was like an abject failure. Abject failure. Then
Don't ask me.
he,
Words.
and then like he doesn't have a car, so he's like trying to become like a personal trainer, but then he was like also trying to get into like real estate, and then he was getting into like foreclosures or something. And I'm like, dude, like, hey, like I don't like. I would never hire you as a personal trainer or a realtor or literally anything because like you don't even have a car. Like you can't even show up to a workout or like a showing without your roommate driving you. Or like you getting an Uber, and like every time that we have to go somewhere, like you're struggling like financially, where like you're saying you can't afford an Uber, or you're like just late because like you're blaming it on the Uber. So it's like the first thing you need to do is get a car. We've been talking about him getting a car. I can't even believe I'm wasting this much time on this fucking idiot.
Okay. We're good. Center.
I know, but like
But this is a whole kind of therapy thing that
know.
we're going to talk about. So
I know, but like,
fixed mindset.
but it really is. It does kind of go into like some of that
exactly. That's why I'm trying.
We've been talking for months about him getting a car and how that should be his number one focus. Because if he has a car, then he has more control over his day, over his time. He can get from place to place. Because right now he's blaming like all of his woes on the fact that like he can't get around.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so let's fix that. That sounds like it's like the bottleneck right now. Let's fix that. And then just a few weeks ago, I find out, and he never told me this because he's not communicative and he's like a liar. Basically.
Well, and he's also probably doesn't want to tell you everything.
Yeah, but like I know, but like I'm trying to help him, and like he's keeping information from me. I'm gonna try to breeze through this. Okay. Turns out that he's got parking tickets out in Florida.
Oh yeah.
So like he couldn't get his license in Texas because he needs to pay off this stuff in Florida. I ask him how much is it. He says it's $500. I'm saying, dude, you could pay off you can save. You can go out right now, cut lawns in your neighborhood and make $500 this week and pay that off. But he's making all these excuses as to why not. Then he's like, oh, it might actually be more than $1,000. And I'm like, still though, like, okay. Yeah. Why are you buying like all this other bullshit when you could be paying off your parking tickets? So I said, dude, I'm moving to a new, basically I have a new system in place now where I'm not going to even need his like services in the future, basically. We have the Airbnb. I said, how much is this parking ticket thing? Okay, it's that much? Cool. I need my furniture built over at the Airbnb. I'm going to pay you that much. I'm going to pay off all your parking tickets in Florida for you to build the furniture at the Airbnb. I'm going to Italy. I need it done by the time I get back from Italy. If you can't do that, you can't agree to it, you can't get it done, you're not communicative, or that money goes to anything outside of the parking tickets, then you're never going to speak with me again. We're never going to talk again. Like this entire thing is like terminated.
Yeah.
And he agreed in his sad sack bullshit miserable way that he is, because he's like just a sad sack miserable fuck. Mm-hmm. He is. I know. So he accepts it. I meet him over there on Sunday to look at all the stuff. He tells me he's going to get to work. He gets like half a bed frame built, says that he didn't have to go to work, but now he does have to go to work, so then he leaves. He tells me he's going to be back on Tuesday. I say, okay, keep me updated. He says he will. Turns out he didn't go back yesterday. I had furniture delivered over there as well that I was expecting him to be bringing in. So I reached out to this morning to say like, hey, how'd it go yesterday? Didn't hear anything. A couple hours later, dude, communication is key. We said this. He writes back saying didn't get a chance to go over there yesterday, or calls me saying,
oh,
didn't
great.
get a chance
So that
to go
furniture's
over there.
just
So
sitting
hanging
there
outside. So I call him and I literally I just screamed at him. I lost it. And I don't scream. He's the only person I fucking scream
I know.
at.
You cannot control.
Because he's because
it's like talking to a wall.
It's like talking
that.
to worse than a wall. It's like talking to the fucking floor. Getting walked. I don't know what that meant. But like, it's like talking. It's worse than talking to a wall. So I go, dude, like you need to be communicative with me. I said that. He's like, I'm gonna be there in 2 hours. Okay. I'm like, you're gonna be there in 2 hours, yes or no? He's like, yes. He's there like 10 minutes late, which like I wasn't worried about. Like that doesn't bother me, but like he's also like, he does this stuff like on purpose. I'm almost positive. Like I feel like it's on purpose, like to do all the littlest, weirdest things wrong. So then he calls me and he's like, hey, do you have a dustpan? He's such a fucking weirdo in the way that he communicates. Do you have a dustpan? Why? Well, because there's stuff that might need to be cleaned up. I'm like, I don't know, I can get you a dustpan. Like, don't worry about that. Yeah, build the fucking furniture. Get to work. Like, why are you worried about a dustpan? Well, man, the reason I was late was because it turns out I actually... then he goes, where'd you get the ceiling fans from? I'm like, why are you asking this question? Build my fucking furniture. And he's like, well, the reason I was late was because I was at Lowe's and Home Depot all day because I accidentally broke your light on your ceiling fan and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, and I fucking lost it. And I'm like, I don't care about the ceiling fan, but what I care about is that clearly happened on Sunday.
Yeah, and then you
don't tell me for 3 days. You say you're going to go back. You don't go back. Long story short, I had a conversation with him today. I was like, my man, I wish you the best of luck. This isn't working for either of us. Like, I genuinely, like, I thought you had potential. I told him, like, you don't. I said, like, you don't. You don't have it in you. This was, like, a miserable experience for me. And, like, I also, like... I was like, this was like a terrible experience for me. I know. I said it was a fascinating experience, is what I said. I said it was a fascinating experience for me. I really do wish you the best of luck. He called me back like 3 times. I blocked his number. I blocked him on Instagram. I'm like, dude, like, I also was like, get out of my house. I was like, get out of my house right now. And he's like, I'm just trying to do the right thing. I was like, dude, I told you. I've never yelled at him for doing something wrong. I've only yelled at him for not doing something that he said he was going to do or not communicating to me. And now we're fucking 22 minutes into this episode and I've wasted more time than I'd like on this guy. Anyway, I'm hiring a friend of ours who? I'll just say it's Joe.
Okay, I was going to say Joe. Okay.
So Joe's going to go over there. Yeah, thank you, Joe. Joe's going to go over there and build the furniture.
And then we also should probably change like the key thing on everything with the keys. The little safe lock. I mean, that guy's bent for money or short for money or whatever it's called.
You know what? Like, if he wants to steal my furniture, he can fucking have it.
No,
but like,
why would you say that?
I'll say this. I don't like give up on much lately, but like the reality is like, I was holding on to it like out of my own ego. Like I can fix him. Like that kid is unfixable. That kid is a mess. He's a liar. He's not honest with himself. And he's like, I'm completely done with him. So he won't be on my Tony Robbins stage in 5 years raving about how much I helped him. He's probably going to be in federal prison.
Oh God.
So I don't pray that for him.
We are sleeping.
I do not pray.
With the gun loaded tonight.
I don't even know like if he's like dangerous in that way at all. I don't think he is. But like I don't pray that he goes to federal prison, but like in some ways I don't see him. I'll say this. Federal prison might be his best bet, like cuz then he'll like have a regular schedule. He'll have somebody telling him what to do, where to be. He'll be feeding him. He'll be able to get his workouts in because that and cold plunging is like all he cares about. So like, you know what? Maybe that's in his best interest. Wow. What else do we have on the docket for today? You can tell how like frustrated I am by that. Like, and I can't say it's like 6 months down the drain because like I learned a lot from the process and I got like some, I would say good work out of him. I got like some like okay work out of him.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess like, because I was going to kind of just talk about like things that I've been up to and like.
Sorry to take so much time with that.
You're fine. But like, I mean, I wanted to kind of like talk on like, you know, like imposter syndrome and fixed mindset versus growth mindset and then to like the whole therapy thing. And this is like clearly like on this topic. And it's interesting because like with him, he kept like saying like, I want to be great, I want to be this, but like he never truly like identified with it.
No.
And like I'm right now in this like phase of like, I'm on these calls for like co-hosting this retreat. I'm talking with like a consultant for coaches who you've been working with, and she wanted to talk with me to get like my perspective on this and like my role in it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, how is this like, how am I in this role now? Mm-hmm. Because every job I've ever had, it's always been like, I'm a nurse and like I'm in this like company or I'm in this hospital and there's a process and there's like the job is already laid out and like the process is already laid out. And now I'm like the one building a process for something that's like mine.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Yep.
And like, I've been kind of questioning like, how am I in this role? And like, I don't really know this answer and I don't really even know what it is, but like, is that imposter syndrome? Like, is what this guy is experiencing is like that imposter syndrome? Like, what's...
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Going back to him, I'll answer your question about yourself in a second. Going back to him, like, he doesn't have imposter syndrome. He's exactly where he believes he should be, which is like having a miserable life. Yeah. And I think like it was a fixed mindset that's holding him back. Like we've talked in the past about how he was sleeping, and again, like, dude, like I don't scream at people. Like I haven't screamed at, I don't think anybody in like, maybe at Joy or Wolf, like
for like Joy's like losing her shit outside like, at a dog.
when Joy like ate the coagulated flies from the fly trap, I probably screamed. Or like when she's like throwing herself through the fence and cutting up her face, I probably screamed then too. Like for real. But like at another human being, I have not screamed. I haven't even like really cursed or like gotten angry in like years.
Yeah.
And this like set me off because I was putting so much.
He's done this to you a few times now.
And it's been a few times where I've like I literally screamed. Like I was actually outside. I wasn't even in the house.
But let's still say sure.
Thankfully. But like there was the other time, the more recent time where he slept through his federal appointed court date. His federal court date. He slept through it.
Which was via Zoom.
Which was, it wasn't even an in-person court date. It was on Zoom and he slept through it. Like if this isn't a self-sabotager, I don't know what is. And the reason why he's a self-sabotager is because he doesn't believe that he's better than it. So as a result, he's not.
Yeah.
Right? Like he doesn't believe that he has the ability to do better, even though I gave him incredibly crystal clear directions on what is expected. He was incapable of doing like the simplest task because doing that task would mean that he was growing and leaving his old life behind. And he saw himself, he's so identified with his current miserable life that even though he wanted better, he was incapable of taking a single action necessary to actually accomplish it. Yeah. And like that is a true fixed mindset. So fixed that like you're not even able to get to imposter syndrome territory.
Yeah. So yeah, then like what's like then imposter syndrome and like is that kind of what I'm experiencing now?
So as far as you're concerned, like I think that you probably are having some sense of imposter syndrome, but I bet you it's short-lived.
Because like what is imposter? Like that's the thing. I like don't even really get like what
it's where when you're in a position that like other people see you as like at a status higher than like you're seeing yourself.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I would describe it.
Yeah.
Like you're in a state where people are coming to you for coaching, which you've never done. You're creating a retreat that people are coming to, which you've never done.
Yeah, I was at that event like talking about it, and people were like, "I want to go to this retreat. I want to come to it." I had a girl like find my information via someone that was there and like message me the next day, being like, "Hey, I want to connect with you. You seem like," and I didn't even talk anything about like any of my growth or anything like that, but she said like I just had this vibration or like she like connected really easily with me, and she's like, "I'm going through this like journey right now and I want to really talk to you because you gave off something." And I'm like, okay, like
I think what she said is it seems like you've done the work.
Yeah, it seems like you've done the work.
Because guess what? You have done the work.
I know, but it's like weird.
So that's then you're not an imposter.
Yeah.
Because you've done the work.
Yeah.
Right? Like So how can you be an imposter if you are being the person other people see you as? I think like there's also like fake it till you make it imposter syndrome where like you're putting off a front and there's not substance behind it.
Yeah.
In which that case it's not imposter syndrome, you're an imposter.
Yeah.
Right?
For
Like
sure.
if you haven't done the work but you're pretending that you have and you're putting it out there as if you had, or let's say you are the kind of person who you don't really like, you're spending more than you should be. You have like a fancy car or a fancy house, or maybe not a fancy house, but like a fancy car, fancy clothes, and you're like putting yourself out there as like this thing with this shell of like money or fame or status or something.
Yeah.
And there's like actually like not the true resources or like background or experience to back it up. Like then you're just an imposter. Imposter syndrome is where you are at that level. Other people see you at that level,
And you like
but
aren't identifying with it
you're not
yet.
identified with it yet because you're like, but I'm just figuring it out. And I
Yeah.
think like from like most people are figuring it out.
Yeah.
So like most people probably experience some sort of imposter syndrome as a result of that, like at least to like some small extent.
Yeah, and like as I'm like on these calls and doing these things, I'm like, well, no, like, but this all feels very right.
Yeah.
Like if
'Cause
so,
it
that's
is.
therefore like that's where I check myself to be like, no, like I'm in the right space. I'm doing good. Like I'm bringing like my strengths to the retreat. I'm bringing my strengths to like the friendships and connections I'm making. So like, but like yeah, I had that like moment that I was like, how is this
Yeah.
me? But it
because
just
it's
again
something
feels right.
because it's something that you've never done before.
Yeah.
So like you are that person. You're certainly being that person right now as you're setting it up, but like you've never done it before. By the time you do it the second or third time,
Yeah.
you'll probably feel a little bit differently about it. But like even at that point, you probably won't, because like the second one is going to be bigger than the first, and the third one is going to be bigger than the second. So like every time, like as things grow, like you're going to go like, but I've only done the smaller one before.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, do you like? Is it bad then to like have imposter syndrome?
So here's
I guess-
here's what I would say about myself is like I've done a lot of things throughout the course of my life that like I've accomplished a lot and like done a lot that maybe early on for me could have felt like imposter syndrome. So like me dropping 100 pounds and like going from like almost 300 pounds to winning a bodybuilding championship and being on stage and like having my arm raised and the trophy put in my hand, like that maybe at the time, like I kind of can't think, I honestly don't remember, but I'm sure like to some extent that kind of felt like imposter syndrome where I'm like, I have a bodybuilding champion, but I'm like a fat kid.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure I had something like that.
Yeah.
Again, like I don't even like associate, like that's so far long ago that like I don't really think that way. Then it's like I was an intern at NBC at 30 Rock, and like I didn't really have much of like a TV background.
Yeah.
But like I was working like in like a famous place with famous people, and it was like, oh, like I kind of don't really even like know like what I'm doing here or how I got here. Like I just applied and now like I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of like the way I felt. So maybe I had a little bit of imposter syndrome there, which I think I did because I had opportunities to go and like pursue that. And I still like at that time was like, yeah, but I don't think I would actually be able to like,
Yeah, like that's not for me.
yeah, like I don't think
Like-
that like that's for like TV people. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like a college kid is basically like the
Yeah.
way I was looking at it. So like that, I guess I had like imposter syndrome there. But then it's like, then once I go to law school and once I'm like the strongest person at every gym that I go to, and then when it's like I become the top sales rep at a company that I've never done cold calling before,
Yeah.
and within a month I'm the top rep in the entire company, and then I'm in like a leadership position a few months later, and then I'm building out the sales process and the script and the training, and then I move to the next company and I'm like doing it again. It's like at a certain point I've done so many things that like I wasn't even necessarily expecting of myself, that it's like, and now like starting a business, and I just signed on like a VIP client. I like, this just feels like all of those other things that I've done where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just like the first step of something. Like I'm not an imposter. Like I'm starting something just like everybody starts something, and like this is the process that I go through.
Yeah.
So like I probably I've learned that it's not about the thing you're doing that gives you imposter syndrome. It's about like, in the past, have you done things that you didn't, have you like proven stuff to yourself before in the past that you could do things that you didn't think you could do? And once you do a handful of things that you didn't think you could do in the past, now it's like, oh, that's not imposter syndrome. Like, this is just how things work. You just start somewhere. You get to a certain point where you see success, and then like, if you just continue that pattern and that formula of like discipline and being consistent and showing up and putting in effort, like, great things happen. So like, you on the other hand, and you can stop me at any point if I'm just like rambling.
Yeah.
Am I rambling?
No, you're good, because I see what you're saying from your perspective. But like,
I'm going to say for you,
yeah.
It's not, and that's not saying that like you haven't done great things, like you have, but you've done them in a singular lane.
Exactly. That's where like I think it's like I've done great at my nursing jobs and like in my management roles in my nursing career, because like I've already had that like the path, and then I built the processes like along that. So I had like growth.
From an early age, you had a goal to be a nurse.
Yeah.
You put a plan in place to be a nurse. You followed that plan, and your career has continuously grown and grown and grown. And you've seen tremendous success over and over and over again in that career. But like, and then like, we've had success in our relationship, and you've had success like physically and stuff. But like, you have now just stepped out of like those those few narrow paths recently with the coaching and with the retreats and with everything else. So you've seen success in the past, but it was on the things that like you already had planned for yourself. Yeah. Now these are things that are like coming to you that you weren't even like the trip sitting, for example. Yeah. These are all things where it's like you didn't have these planned. They just sort of happened. Yeah. You're taking advantage of like the opportunities that you're given. And it also happens to be something that like you're finding success in
and joy in it too. It's like definitely rewarding.
And other people are finding you to be the person for them in those cases. So now you're leaving those more narrow paths that you've been on. So now it feels different and new and strange to you. Yeah. So like, I think you're the kind of person who's probably like me, or like in a short period of time, you'll do this like a couple more times where like maybe you have imposter syndrome with your trip sitting for a little bit. Maybe you have imposter syndrome with the retreats. Maybe you have imposter syndrome when we're sitting on coaching calls with our clients. Yeah. Just for like the first, couple times. And then I bet you after a while you're like, you find the same thing I did, which is like, no, this is just how like success happens. Like, you just apply yourself, you apply the formula, you're disciplined, you're consistent, you work hard at it, and like things happen. And that is growth mindset as opposed to fixed mindset. So I think maybe like imposter syndrome comes from somebody who has a fixed mindset,
that's what I was just
or like kind of errs more on the side of a fixed mindset, and then sees success and they're like, wait, I wasn't supposed to see this kind of success. Other people think that I'm successful. I didn't think I would ever be able to get here. So like, and maybe like that imposter syndrome is like the fixed mindset, like trying to pull you back to some extent.
Yeah, and like,
is this making sense?
And then you can like take that and someone in that fixed mindset, if they don't do the work and they don't like try to like be like, okay, like how do I get myself to not be that imposter? Yeah. They can pretty much like self-sabotage and just go back.
Yep, exactly.
And like not have that growth.
Yep. And I think,
or have that success because they're like, well, no, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
Which again, like going back to like the NBC thing with me, like that was, I succumbed to that where I was
for
like,
sure.
I was seeing success. Again, it was just kind of like, didn't have much TV experience. Although like to say that is not true because like I did some TV stuff in high school and I did some TV stuff in college. But to me, I was still like, but I'm not like, I don't have like real TV experience. Then I applied, I got the internship. And then after the internship, I got like more interviews and more opportunities. And I was still just like, yeah, but I don't think like, I had that fixed mindset. I was like, I don't think that I'll be able to like achieve that if I apply myself. So I did like end up coming back, and I'm happy I did because I don't think that would have been like the right path for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I'm very happy with how things turned out, so I'm not gonna like say I regret that whatsoever. But like I could have had a very different life, and
For
chances
sure.
are, knowing me, I probably would have actually ended up being successful, and I'd probably be
Been a writer on SNL.
I would have been a writer on SNL, or I would have been like producer on like Rachel Maddow or something like that, probably. Imagine.
Yeah, right. Your
Imagine
father
me. Oh my
would
God.
like not. He would not talk to you.
Yeah.
And your mother. Yeah. You'd be isolated from the family. You'd be on
man.
an island.
I'd be like on the Kamala Harris campaign right now or
Oh
something.
my god.
But no,
my
like
God.
I guess like that's to say like I think that is what a fixed mindset or what imposter syndrome is. It's like you see success, but you still kind of have that fixed mindset where it's like I'm not supposed to be here. But then again, like that's better than not even seeing the success. But I think if you allow that fixed mindset and that imposter syndrome to settle in, then like you're gonna stop doing the things that got you to that success. Because like, especially if you're not used to being consistent, you're not used to being persistent, you're not used to like being really disciplined and like being like you're okay with repetition and doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, because like that is where success comes from. Success comes from habits.
Yeah.
And if you haven't formed the right mindset and the right like level, the like requisite level of discipline to like continue in that success, then that fixed mindset is going to pull you back, and you are going to be an imposter.
And do the work to get to that growth mindset.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people, I think this is my opinion, I don't know what your opinion on is it. I think like majority of people are in a fixed mindset.
Definitely.
You were like told at such a young age of like, this is who you are, these are your labels, this is what you need to be. And everyone just gets in a comfort zone with that. What's wrong?
I'm making sure that like I'm like kind of facing you as opposed to like facing the camera.
So like everyone's in that like comfort zone. And so, yeah, I think people are just not willing to do that work, but then they have all these problems and they don't want to work through any of it, but they go to like a therapist to like talk about those problems instead of like working through them.
Okay. So
that's where I kind of want to like branch this into.
I think I teased a few times that I have like some pretty
you have teased it.
Good thoughts on therapy. And like interestingly enough, like I've had these thoughts about therapy for years, and
just haven't had a platform to
I haven't had a platform to discuss it. But more recently, like there have been people that have come out with like similar opinions. So like I guess my opinions aren't as like unique or profound as I thought they were. But here's my opinion on therapy generally. First off, there's a difference between a psychiatrist and a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist prescribes medication. And I actually, again, I went to school, undergrad, for psychology. I always liked psychology. I loved the idea of being a therapist. I genuinely did, and I always have. And watch the last episode if you want to know why that might be. I love psychology. I love all those like those theories. I can listen to Jordan Peterson forever, which like sometimes I do. And like that stuff is truly, and like Carl Jung as well. Like all that stuff is like so fascinating to me. So I kind of thought like maybe I'll be a psychologist, or I guess I was kind of up in the air, psychiatrist or psychologist for a while.
For sure, now you'd be on the path of psychologist.
Of course, like the idea of like psychiatry, like prescribing drugs to me is like it's like a true like travesty and like a crime. I will say this: I think that medication, and this is like a very controversial statement, medication for your brain and your brain chemicals is the same as like an opioid. Only an opioid numbs your body, and these medications for anxiety or for depression, they numb your brain and they turn your brain to mush. And that's why you're not able to experience high highs.
And you have a flat affect.
And you have it's because like you're literally not thinking clearly, and like they're addictive drugs, just like every other drug. Just because they're for your brain and you think of your brain as being different from your body, they're not. They're the same. They're one and the same. And like those medications are the mental equivalent of what like an opioid is for like your physical body. So like that is my opinion there. Take it or leave it. But so that's like definitely not something I would do now. Like certainly not psychiatry. But psychology still like did appeal to me, and I think there are a lot of really, I'm sure there are a lot of really good psychologists out there and therapists out there. People who are actually really thinking about the person. They're capable of being empathetic. They're capable of understanding not just what the person has been through, but also like leveraging the various theories and philosophies to dig into, and even develop some of their own theories and philosophies, dig into like where these what these person's blockers are, self-limiting beliefs, traumas, etc., how that's affecting their behavior on a day-to-day basis,
their
and again,
relationships,
exactly. And then like saying like, here's the problem, here's how you act in these situations, here's like why you're acting that way, here's how you can solve that, here's how we fix it, etc., etc. Like if somebody is a good therapist, they should be able to prod and poke in the right ways. They should be able to dig in, and like the person who is in therapy should be made uncomfortable. The same way that like a good personal trainer should make you uncomfortable when you're at the gym. If your personal trainer is not pushing you at the gym and not pushing you past your comfort zone, then that's a shitty personal trainer. Just like if you only take a microdose of mushrooms, or if the mushrooms like you're trying to do a like heroic dose and really dive into your own psyche, like there's a reason why it's scary. It's because you don't have a choice but to confront that stuff. And like that's what makes it valuable. And then the same thing with like, again, like an ayahuasca trip, for example, all these breath work, like breath work, if you take it easy and you kind of like pull back rather than going into like the physical emotions or physical feelings and the emotions that like surface when you do the breath work, you're not going to have a breakthrough. And my opinion is that a lot of these therapists, especially now because like it's a saturated market, just like there's a lot of shitty attorneys out there, there's a lot of shitty therapists, people that, just like there's a lot of shitty personal trainers out there, people that will charge you a moderate amount so you can come and sit on their couch or meet them on Zoom, and then you can just spew your emotions, talk about what you're annoyed about with your life, talk about what annoys you about your work or about your family or about whatever, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever's bothering you. Spew it out. They can tell you, that's right, they're the problem, they are not fair to you, they're treating you poorly, like basically just like reinforcing all these beliefs and thoughts that you already have. You feel cathartic, you feel like you got something out, you feel like you have a buddy on the other couch or in the chair who's like just telling you everything that you want to hear. So then you're going to shell out the $100 for the next week or $200 for the next week or whatever it is. That's not what therapy should be. Therapy should be the person that is listening to you and asking you all these questions. First off, they should be the right questions. They should be hard questions. And that person should be poking and prodding and making you think differently about yourself and like challenging you. And if you don't feel like sort of like uncomfortable or like maybe like you're rethinking how you have approached a certain situation, if you're in therapy because you have like true issues, stress, anxiety, trauma, like you're there for a reason. So if you don't need therapy, then like don't go. But like if you need it, then like you should be walking away from those sessions like with some real work to do on yourself.
Work and like tangible objectives of like, okay, these are the steps I need to take. This wasn't just me to sit here and bitch for an hour.
But I think
it's
that's
like
what people...
for sure, because people just want to be like, don't want to have to like put in that work.
And that's like the way that most people are today. People want to do maximum output for the littlest amount of work possible. And I think therapy, just like a shitty personal trainer who's not pushing you at the gym, that's what this all is. It's like, I could say I have a personal trainer. I could say I went to the gym today. I could say I broke a sweat. Did I actually get really anything out of it? No, because I didn't really like work that hard. Same thing with therapy. I can say I'm working on myself. I can say I'm spending money to make myself better. I can say I'm working through my issues. But like, if you're not working through your issues, then you're not working through your issues. If you're being
Right.
told that like your family's the problem and that you should tell your mom, you should stand up to your mom or stand up to your dad or something, like, I'm not saying that that's inherently bad advice, but like, I would say like you should look at yourself.
For
That
sure.
you should, your therapist should be asking you to look internally before they're asking you to look externally.
Exactly.
And I think that a lot of therapists are telling people like your family or whatever, that is the problem.
Right. Like, because unfortunately, like, and this, like, I learned in the, like, numeric psychology course is, like, it's, like, whatever, like, the only thing you have control of is, like, how you're going to be in the situation and in your relationships and with your interactions. And so, like, I'm not going to go to my mother or my father, or anyone should go to their mother and father and be like, you're the reason for this, this, and this. And it's like, no, like, what did I bring to the relationship that caused friction?
Yeah.
Like, because that's the only thing I'm going to be able to control.
Yeah,
So let
exactly.
me correct
Yep.
that. Let me change that behavior. Let me change my reaction, my emotion to it. And then, shocking, it's all like
Yep.
fine, because I don't let the things bother me anymore.
But also, it's like, why would you expect the other person to change if you're not making any change
Exactly.
yourself?
And you're blaming them.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're going to be different. Like, nothing's going to be worked out.
And a change is not as simple as going like, well, my therapist said that I should reach out, apologize, but then also tell them what they did to me. Like, an apology is not
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
Asking a question is not changing. You have to actually change the way you're thinking about the situation. Again, if your therapist or whoever is not just encouraging you, but pressing you to challenge yourself and to change your own thought process and your own mindset, then that's a shitty therapist. Just like if a personal trainer hands you like some light dumbbells and you do 10 reps and they're just like, okay, great job, but like, and they pick it off,
and you're not, like,
and you're not sweating, and you're not pushing, you're not exerting effort, and they're not like, come on, you got one more in you, and like pushing you to do it, then like you're not getting anything out of that experience either. So like, that's my thought on therapy. It's also why like, it's kind of funny how I wanted to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and now I'm doing like what essentially amounts to like life coaching, I guess, for lack of a better
That's what I was
term.
gonna be like my next question or something along those lines, is like a psychologist, life coach, therapist, like it's all kind of like the same thing. You're trying to get like, or like the
Same
angle
outcome.
should be
Yeah,
the same
roughly.
thing.
Yeah,
But
roughly.
how you get there, or if you get there with sometimes with a therapy, is different.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like how would you compare then, like if you were to take the route of the psychologist, how that life, or like how you would deal with your patients
Sure.
there,
Yeah.
versus like how as like a coach you're
Yeah.
able to do with your clients.
So I think to answer that question, I'm going to circle back to one of the reasons why, for me, like, listen, I love my personal training stuff
Yeah.
that I've done, and I love my personal training clients, and I genuinely do, like, I love being in the gym with people and, like, showing them how to work out.
Little
Like,
gym rat.
What's funny is, like, I've been working out for so long, and I've been helping people work out for so long, and, like, it seems like something that should be, like, boring or, like, rote to me, but, like, for me at this point, especially if I'm working out with somebody new or somebody who's just like still in the learning process, it is like really cool to like watch, like to teach them something small that like changes the way they like look at like a workout or even look at like their body in some ways. Like I am
the
having
little modifications they have to do.
I am having a lot of fun with that, but the accountability part is really what being a personal trainer is truly about, especially like when you're remote and you're not there with them in person every single time. It's about getting their mind right so that they have that like focus, they have that, they can bring that intensity on a regular basis and be consistent about it. And as a personal trainer, like that is one of my responsibilities. But unless I'm able to talk to them very clearly, and it's apparent in our professional working relationship that I'm able to dig into like that other stuff, then it's really, really hard for me to hold them accountable. Because like I can only, in a personal training client relationship, there's boundaries in terms of like what I should be asking them about. If it's a relationship, if it's their work, if it's like their family or whatever the case might be. Those are the things that are preventing them from getting to the gym.
Sure.
It's not the gym. It's not how much time they have in a day. It's like not all the things that people make excuses for. It's not like the commute. It's all the other stuff. And it's also like how they're thinking about all that other stuff. So like the reason, not only like, quite frankly, am I like a genius at work when it comes to mindset kind of stuff, and do I have programming for mindset stuff that I find like really important and valuable, but like it's also, in my opinion, the crux of them seeing long-term success in the gym is them having their mind in a good place, in the right place, and having presence, having gratitude, having a proper understanding of like what they want out of life and what they want out of themselves and what they want out of their workout as well. So like that's why for me getting into like the mindset coaching is absolutely critical. And then to like kind of use the flip side of that, if I was just a psychologist, then what that really is only doing is it's more being like reactive than proactive to the client, where they come in, they say they have a problem, I'm going to dig in, I'm going to ask questions, and then like I'm going to give them advice on it. But with most therapy, there's no like programming aspect to it. There's no habit forming. I'm not like proactively providing them with like a set of practices and habits and things that they can do to make themselves better.
Yeah.
So like for me, this is the perfect situation where it's like, I guess it's kind of like saying like the personal training side of things, and this is again like me bragging about myself, which I do typically. The personal training side of things doesn't afford me enough opportunity to really dig into like what the true issue is, which is like their level of accountability and discipline, etc. And the therapy thing doesn't give me enough latitude to like prescribe real, true, actionable like habits and like things that they should be doing day to day outside of therapy to get them on the right track. And like together, all those things are like what I'm doing, and like what I'm also like good at is I'm obviously good at the physical fitness part. To me, that is a critical component of like a healthy life and like a best quality of life. So if I'm just a therapist and I'm not helping them in the gym with their health and with their diet and with their fitness, then like we're missing a huge chunk of the picture there. And if I'm only prescribing them a workout and diet program and I'm only focused on that, then of course we're missing like a huge other part of their life. It's about both. And like in my current role and with the business that I'm building and have built at this point, again, maybe imposter syndrome for me to say building because like it's built now, like, right?
It's there.
So with the business that I've built, it's allowing me to pair all of those things, use all of my skills, and like be really holistic in the way that I'm approaching my clients. And like I think that that's like what's necessary. I think it's what I'm great at, and I think it's like, again, like what people look to me for.
Yeah. And don't you think that with the clients you're able to probably be like, do you want more coffee?
No.
Be like more direct and be like have those more accountable conversations or accountability conversations versus like a therapist, like because like with a therapy session, like you're like probably like on eggshells, the patient's like emotional or
I mean like you have to be on eggshells too. I think a coach is just more proactive, where it's like a therapist is like, you tell me what's going on. Again, I'm asking questions, I'm going to give you some advice, or I'm going to give you some things to think about. And it's like, okay, like now you go on your way and I'll see you next week. And then like we'll say like, how did it go? How did this week go? How did those feelings come back up? Did you correct that thing? So there's like a minor level of accountability, but I don't feel like it's as much like, and again, maybe some therapists are different, but it doesn't seem as like action oriented or like as like there's not like an action plan, I would say, put in place. And again, it's also like an action plan is great, but an action plan is a one-off. Like, what is this person going to do every day moving forward to keep their mind healthy and keep their body healthy and keep their mind right? So I think that like it's just too passive. Whereas with coaching, it's like you, by just being my client, I am prescribing a workout program, a mindfulness practice, a gratitude practice, journaling prompts. We're going to talk about like how to schedule your day more effectively, all of those things.
Yeah.
And that's just like setting the baseline in terms of like what you should be doing day to day to maintain a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy emotions, and like look into yourself like a little bit more clearly. And like also like, again, like set true goals for yourself. And then like the coaching calls, which I'm having with my clients, which again are not unlike therapy sessions, that's handling more of like the one-off things and the more like personal stuff to them. So they're doing all the stuff that's like standard, should be done by everybody to maintain regular like baseline standard of like mental and physical health. And then like we can work on like what are their specific blockers, what are their specific needs, what are they looking to accomplish. We can work on that more like specifically.
Yeah.
And but again, like if they don't have the physical health, the presence, the right mindset from the beginning to attack those problems, then like again, like then it's like, why are we even having this conversation? If I can't trust you to like get it on your calendar, if I can't trust you to be present in the moment, if I can't trust you to be communicative, if I can't trust you to tell me when something happens because you're not even being honest with yourself, then we're at a loss here. And like this is like just masturbation at this point. Like the one-on-one sessions where like you're telling me what's so rough about your life and I'm giving you advice, that's masturbation unless you're going out and attacking it. And you need like the baseline programming stuff with the fitness and the mindset stuff in order to be fit enough to attack the problem at hand.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did that actually come across clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm like rambling, I feel like a little bit, but I'm also like a little bit high. So
would you say, and then we can probably wrap this up here soon, would you say that
you're doing a great job of asking me questions.
Thanks. These are all
and
just
you're
off
also
the
just
dome.
letting me just like go.
Would you think that with your coaching and with like any successful coaching program, eventually the client graduates? You give all the tools, you give all the advice, you build them like such a great outline of like how they should attack life. The goal would be that like they graduate.
I mean, I don't know, like yes and no. And I'm not saying this because like I feel like clients shouldn't move on.
Yeah.
With like the regular day-to-day stuff, the workout, the gratitude, the mindfulness, that habit forming, and even like the planning, like the PED stuff, like the planning, the execution, the domination, and those calendar and the to-do list, which again is all part of my programming, my get-tos. All of that, yes. You should get to a point where you're capable of managing that on your own and you don't need me or like my app or my like ongoing emails to like keep you on track with that. Like you should develop that as a general habit that you can stay on track with.
Yeah.
I think that, and also like that also goes with like introspection and self-reflection, which are critical because like being honest with yourself and really being able to like feel your emotions and what you want to do and what's holding you back, like that's also something that I do think that in general people can get like really good at. Like of course they can. Like again, like I'm a growth mindset guy. It's a learned thing, and like you can absolutely do that. The reason why I would say you wouldn't necessarily graduate from the coach is because I think if you have a coach or even a therapist that you really do trust and has helped you consistently like along the way, then like you're always going to have like something that comes up that's a challenge or
Yeah.
some new goal for yourself, and like you want to leverage somebody who has been there for you in the past and somebody who's proven that they like know what they're talking about and can give you good advice, you want that person to like at the very least bounce ideas off of. So like I know even like awesome me who like is the life coach. Again, I hate the term life coach. So like,
we gotta figure it out.
yeah, we gotta figure out what we're gonna call it because like, life coach has like some other connotations.
Yeah.
But like, even me who like does have all of that stuff fully dialed in, I still have you that I bounce ideas. I have what I call my council.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, my council pretty much like circles around 3 main people. I have a few outside counsel, I would say, but I have 3 like in-house counsel. Mm-hmm. You probably know who those people are. Some people out there probably know who those people are too. But like, I have those people who like when I'm in a pickle or when I have a goal or when I have something that's just like irking me, I go to them, I tell them because like having that soundboard and having somebody else to like look at it from a slightly different perspective is always invaluable. So I think like to succinctly answer your question, parts of the things, yes, you can get down on your own. You don't need like the ongoing accountability and support with, but there's like the more like qualitative, open-ended.
Yeah, and like the conversations or something comes up in life. And so like maybe down the road.
Just talking through things, for example.
So like maybe down the road, something that like you develop and have in the career is like we have clients that we work with and we coach through everything. But then say like there's a big life event or there's something that comes up with their work or a relationship and they contact us and it's like, hey, can I like schedule like a 1-hour call with you next week?
Yeah.
And it's more just like a consultant call, like let's touch base, let's talk, not like really like on a full coaching program.
Yeah, I would say that like we would have that available anyway.
Because I think that would be, because like the thing I struggle with is there's like 2 things. So with
I
therapy.
know what you're gonna say.
Huh?
Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, you might know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
You probably do in the second one. The first one is like therapy. You remember that Howard Stern episode? And I think it was it was Ronnie, and he was like, "Oh, I don't need therapy anymore. I graduated."
Yeah.
And like Howard like lost it, and he's
Yeah.
like, "You don't graduate from therapy. You don't this." And like, because Howard is a true believer in like going to therapy.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I don't know, like if you're doing I don't think you need to like, unless you're going through like a major like crisis or trauma or something going on, like weekly therapy is probably really important. But like, if it's just like to go and like bitch at somebody or bitch to somebody about something going on, like, are you making any progress? So that's where I struggle with like the argument of like, no, you always need to go to therapy.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I mean,
Right?
like, again, like I don't go to therapy.
Yeah.
I have people in my life that I trust.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the other thing, do you know what the other thing is?
You tell me.
Like the idea that people go to Tony Robbins consistently all the time.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Like that to me is just like, I don't know if like, it's like you should get like, because it seems like UPW and all those things, it's like all the same program time after time. So like, are they not applying the knowledge they're getting?
I'll somewhat disagree with you.
Okay.
Somewhat. I think it's kind of the same thing. I think it's the same thing as the therapy, where it's like you can do an hour a week and like microdose like those like revelations and those breakthroughs kind of like on an ongoing basis, which I think is valuable. Mm-hmm. But like what Tony Robbins was a little bit more of like a like ayahuasca retreat.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say that like you should probably look at like a Tony Robbins event the same way that you would look at like ayahuasca. Like people can do that multiple times throughout their life.
True.
Because like you go through different seasons in your life. You would go through different challenges and different problems at different point in your life. It's not like, here's the thing. If you're going to Tony Robbins every year and it's just to like build up the courage to start a business or something and you never start a business, or if you like you have the same like underlying self-limiting beliefs year after year after year.
And that's where I kind of probably feel like a lot of those people are like, there's no like,
I mean, probably a lot of them are, yeah. But like,
so
how many
like
people are
that's-
also going to therapy every
I
week
know.
and don't break through those beliefs? So, and
it's
again,
so
like I would also
frustrating and
say that is maybe the problem of the therapist because they have one-on-one direct relationship with that person, and the therapist eventually should say, like, after a few months or a few years, they should go like, hey man, you haven't fixed any of this shit that we've been talking about, like this isn't working, like probably not a good fit anymore.
Yeah.
That's what a good therapist would do.
Right, like ethically, morally, like everything. Be like, okay, clearly I'm just taking your money because like you're not making any progress.
But with Tony Robbins, it's like he has the same events every year.
Yeah.
So is he responsible for people who aren't fixing themselves? Like there's plenty of people that go there and they do get a lot out of it, and then they go back the next year and now they have a new personal issue, or maybe they've made progress and they just hit the next threshold that they need to break through. So like, I don't think that's saying that somebody's going back time and time again. I've only been to one Tony Robbins event, just to be clear, because a lot of people
with plans to go to more.
It's so funny how like I've been to one Tony Robbins event. I've talked about it a couple times like on the podcast.
Yeah.
And like now people think of me as being like a Tony Robbins guy, and like
because you are saying you're going to be the short Jack Tony Robbins.
Because I want to be the short Jack Tony Robbins. Yes, I understand that. I also does not bother me necessarily to be associated with Tony Robbins, and I do love him. He's one of my 3 heroes. But like, he's only one of my 3 heroes because the event was so fucking awesome. But like, I've only been to a single Tony Robbins event, and this time last year, I would have like not even had him like on my radar in terms of like somebody who I like strive to be. But like, that's how impactful that event was. So, I'm also
podcast is brought to you by Tony Robbins.
I'm also defending him at the same point because like it's not on him if people are going back and like not like that's what a business guy should do, honestly, like to some extent. Is like, you know, make it easy for people to come. It's on them if they don't fix the things that they've worked, that they are supposed to be working on. And it like all of that is the same stuff. It's simply a fact of like, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. And you, again, the girl at the house party.
Yeah.
I think it said like in the text is like, you seem like somebody who did the work and I want to connect with you more. Like you've clearly done the work. So don't have
all I did was just talk around in a icebreaker, and I was just asking people random questions like, oh, so how long have you been in Austin? Like I didn't really say.
But you've done it.
I know, but like I didn't talk anything about like what I do. It was really weird.
But like that's because you've done the work and it's clear.
Yeah.
Like the reason why I had to let my other personal assistant go was because he was unwilling. He's not incapable.
Yeah.
But he's unwilling to do the work, which is worse than being incapable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just sabotaging himself.
Self-sabotage.
Which, like, a lot of people would rather do than do the work.
And like, I gave him an opportunity to be like, to do like simple tasks, to be honest, to be upfront. If he's not capable of doing that, it means he's not capable of being honest with himself, which means he's unwilling to do the work. And like, I don't have time for that anymore. And like, that's kind of like the way I'm taking my business now. Is I'm taking things really seriously when I'm doing new consultations with, you know, potential new clients, and I'm pretty much being really direct where it's like, you know, if you want to get in great shape and you want to like really genuinely reach your true potential, and you're willing to like get uncomfortable and put work in and put the time in, I can help you get there.
Right.
If you want those things but you're not willing to do those things, then this isn't a good fit.
Yeah.
And like, it's better for you to go like find some other like shitty personal trainer who's like not going to push you and is going to hand you light dumbbells and then not like get you to get those extra reps in. Mm-hmm. They're out there too. Yeah. So do the work.
Do the work. That should be the title for this one.
Got to do the work. Cool.
Get uncomfortable. That's how you grow.
Good. Yeah. That was cool. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Any question? Anything else?
Any questions?
Any questions? Anything else?
Your thoughts?
Any final thoughts or anything? Or are we done?
I think we're done.
Cool.
Are we filming the next one in Italy?
Maybe. We'll have to see. We might be gone for a couple weeks, I guess. Potentially.
Well, I thought our plan was to try to film in Italy.
Release for a couple weeks. But yeah, we're absolutely going to film in Italy.
Yeah.
The question is, are we going to release it in Italy? So yeah, our next podcast, I would love to get one in the Amalfi Coast and then one in Rome. And I would love to, like, if we could set it up with like a cool background
for
and stuff.
sure.
So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I'm pretty sure we'll be able to find some cool backgrounds in
It's a matter of like finding like a quiet spot where we can like set up and do it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't
Stay
wait.
tuned. You'll find out soon enough.
Ciao.
Also, like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification button and do all of that. Like, that would actually like genuinely mean so much.
Yeah, that
So,
would be really nice.
Thanks, y'all. Peace.